Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you're living in Deer Park, LaPorte, or Pasadena, Texas, well, today we are giving you the shortcut. We're breaking down the LaPorte City Council meeting from November 10th, 2025.
Yep, we went through all of it, the audio, the agenda, all the staff reports, to pull out what you really need to know.
In this meeting, it was a big one. It wasn't just, procedural stuff.
Not at all. It was a perfect test case, really. You see state policy clashing directly with local control. The city was grappling with a new state law while also, trying to celebrate some major local wins.
And that clash is exactly why we do this. Our whole mission is to empower you, the residents, to think and act locally. Understanding these decisions is, it's the first step.
It really is.
And to help us keep doing this, please think about supporting the show at thinkandactlocally.com/donate. The link is in the show notes.
And if anything we talk about today sparks a question or you just have feedback, shoot us an email. It's david@thinkandactlocally.com. So let's just jump in where the council did.
Right at the beginning, it started with an invocation from Lanier Young of St. John's Episcopal Church, and it felt very, very local.
It really did. Besides the prayers for the mayor and council, there were these specific mentions of President Donald and Governor Gregg. And then this is what felt really LaPorte.
The Bulldogs.
A special blessing for the LaPorte Bulldogs football team and the marching band. Acknowledging their resilience after a tough season. It just grounds everything.
It does. And from there, they moved right into recognizing service. They honored 12 city employees who are veterans.
Which is always a powerful moment. Just to give you a sense of the dedication, you had Goldie from the Air Force, 14 years, Jeremy Borja, Coast Guard, 20 years.
Wow.
And Bill Bentley, Marine Corps Reserve, 6 years. It just reminds you who makes up the city's workforce.
And that dedication, it extends directly into some really specialized professional excellence. The city gave major recognition to Amber Castro Beltran. She's a deputy coordinator.
And Jeremy Borja, who we just mentioned.
Right, the emergency management planner. And they both achieved the Certified Emergency Manager, or CEM, credential.
And we really need to underline this point. The CEM is not some local award. It is the highest professional certification in emergency management in the entire world.
In the world.
Globally.
Yeah.
There are only about 2,500 people
total
who hold this designation. So for a city the size of LaPorte to have two of them, that's incredible. It means you have true global experts managing your local emergencies.
That's a huge institutional win. And speaking of long-term dedication, they also honored Tammy Adams. She's a telecommunicator. For 30 years.
30 years. Just think about that. The number of high-stress calls she's handled over 3 decades.
It's unbelievable.
The police chief shared this really great human story about her. He called her the matriarch of the communication center.
I love that.
And he praised her directness, saying you never have to guess where you stand with Tammy Adams. And that's what keeps a community running, that kind of frontline service.
Absolutely. And to cap off the recognitions, they honored the 2025 City University participants.
Right. These are citizens who gave up 11 weeks to learn how every single city department works.
From public works to police, everything.
And the goal there isn't just education. It's to get them involved for the long haul. These are the people who now have the knowledge to serve on commissions, to really act locally.
Okay, let's pivot now to segment 2. This is where the money is going. The infrastructure, the city assets. We can start with the consent agenda.
Right, and a lot of this was focused on safety and really future-proofing the city. They approved grant money from the Urban Area Security Initiative, UASI.
That's a federal program, right?
It is. Helps fund regional preparedness. And that money's going to a mobile barricade project. That's about $141,000 and a $30,000 police surveillance trailer.
Okay, so that's safety. What about the nuts and bolts, the stuff that keeps the city running day to day?
That's where you see the big ticket item for utilities. They authorized a purchase of, get this, $438,500 for Neptune water meters and parts.
That's a lot of meters.
It is, but it's essential. It's how they ensure accurate billing, which affects your wallet, and it's how they manage the water system efficiently. It's a long-term investment.
That makes sense. They also greenlit some really visible projects. The renovations for the Sylvan Beach Pier.
Which is iconic.
And brand new pickleball courts over at 600 Little Cedar Bayou Drive.
So you can see that momentum on Parks and Rec. Now, shifting to maintenance, there was an update on that dangerous structure at 114 South Iowa Street.
Right, that's been on the agenda for a while.
For over a year. But the good news is staff reported major progress. The owner has finally fixed all the big structural problems, The rotten wood, the straps, all of
So
it.
basically safe now.
Structurally, yes. They're just waiting on a final city inspection for some internal things,
Mm.
like the toilets and sinks. But it shows you the slow grind of making sure every property is safe.
And on the city's own properties, they're moving on some big projects. They awarded a contract for Public Works Phase 3 and 4.
A CMAR contract, construction manager at risk.
Yeah.
It's a way to lock in a partner early. And these phases are critical. They cover operations, fleet services, demolition, the flying, all to modernize their facilities.
And crucially, there's the fire station.
Yes, a $240,000 design contract for the Fire Station 1 remodel. And this isn't just a coat of paint. The full construction is estimated at $2 million.
$2 million.
Yeah. They're adding dorm rooms, redoing the entire kitchen and day room, replacing the ancient HVAC system. I mean, it's about giving those firefighters a decent place to live and work.
Okay, before we get to the big food truck debate, we have to touch on the Parks and Rec ordinance changes, Chapter 50. This is about how you can actually use the parks.
And the biggest change here is the Seabreeze Pavilion. It used to be first come, first served.
And now?
Now it's a formal rental facility. You'll need to put down a new $100 deposit to reserve it, but, and this is important, the Sylvan Beach Pier and the rest of the park are still totally open to the public. This is just for that specific pavilion structure.
They also tightened up the rules on alcohol.
They did. They removed the allowance for alcohol by permit at the Little Cedar Bayou Drive Park area, so that's now a no-go.
And then just some administrative cleanup, it looks like.
Exactly.
Yep.
They got rid of season passes for the pools because nobody was really using them, and they eliminated the deluxe gym membership because the racquetball courts that justified it have been gone for years.
And one for the athletes. Non-resident fees are now officially on the books for using the ball fields.
It's just about prioritizing city residents in the fee structure. Makes sense.
All right, let's get into it. The main event, really, the mobile food vendor debate. Item 5L. This is a perfect example of a state law just completely changing the game for a local city.
It really is. The whole thing is being driven by Texas House Bill 2844. People are calling it the Food Truck Freedom Bill.
And it doesn't even take effect until July 2026, but the council had to deal with it now.
They had to, because it's a massive preemption of their local authority. HB 2844 creates a single statewide permit for food trucks.
So all those local LaPorte permits are going away.
They will be, yes. The state will issue one permit, and Harris County Public Health will probably do the local inspections. But here's the kicker. LaPorte loses the ability to regulate distance.
So their old rule, the one that mandated a 300-foot separation between a food truck and a regular restaurant,
A brick and mortar, yeah.
that's just unenforceable now.
Completely gone. That 300-foot rule was the primary tool the city used to protect its fixed location restaurants, the ones that pay property taxes. The state just took that tool away.
So the city staff recommended just repealing their ordinance immediately since it's going to be useless soon anyway. But the council didn't go for it.
No, they balked. They were very concerned that if they just wiped the ordinance off the books right now, it would create basically a regulatory vacuum for the next year and a half.
A food truck free-for-all?
Pretty much.
Oh.
They felt it would allow vendors to do whatever they want, and that it would really undermine the brick-and-mortar businesses who've invested so much in the city.
So if they lose the distance rules, what's left? What can they still control?
Not much. It boils down to three things: zoning, noise, and requiring permission from the property owner. That's it.
Okay, so this is the actionable part, the compromise. What did they actually decide to do?
They decided not to repeal the ordinance immediately. They're buying themselves some time. But in a nod to the state's new law, they told staff to immediately pause all enforcement and stop charging permit fees.
Wait, so for vendors, this is a fee holiday.
It's a huge temporary win for them. Those permits could be up to $125 a quarter. So for now, they get to operate without that fee while the city figures out its next move.
And what is a long-term plan? How are they going to replace that distance rule?
They're going to lean heavily on the one big tool they have left, zoning. Staff was directed to work with the 106 Committee and the Planning and Zoning Commission to draft a whole new ordinance that's focused purely on location and noise.
Can you just quickly explain what the 106 Committee is for folks in LaPorte?
Sure. The 106 Committee is a really important advisory group. It's made up of citizens and city leaders, and their job is to advise the council on big picture stuff like land use and economic development. They're the perfect group to tackle this.
And the timeline.
They're aiming to bring a new zoning ordinance back to the council in February 2026. So well before the state law fully kicks in that July.
That's a smart play, using zoning as a strategic defense to protect local businesses without breaking the new state law.
It's a very elegant solution to a really complex problem.
Let's move on to our last segment, which is all about public safety tech and employee welfare. There was a deep dive presentation on the Flock Safety license plate readers, the LPR cameras.
Right. The police department explained how their technology has shifted. They've used car-mounted LPR since 2014, but now they're moving to these fixed, stationary Flock cameras.
How many do they have?
They have 14 city-owned cameras right now, and they can also access 6 more that are owned by local HOAs.
So how does that actually help an officer on the street?
The speed. It's the instant alert system. A car passes a camera, the plate is scanned, and it's instantly checked against multiple national crime databases, NCIC and TCIC.
And if there's a hit?
The officer gets an alert immediately. On their phone, on their in-car computer. Could be for a stolen car, a stolen plate, or something much more serious, like a vehicle linked to a sex offender or a felony.
The success stories they shared were pretty powerful.
They really were. The speed is just amazing. They identified a suspect vehicle in the Brook Glen shooting in under an hour. That led to multiple felony charges.
And it's not just for crime, right?
No, it saves lives. They used it to find a missing elderly man during a silver alert. And the system's reach is national. They flagged a suspect who drove all the way from Indiana to meet a juvenile here. That case went federal.
And I remember something about a stolen welder.
Yes. A $20,000 welder was stolen, and because the thieves were in a vehicle that got flagged, they recovered it within 30 minutes. All told, they've made over 32 arrests on municipal warrants just this year from these alerts.
That's effective. What about privacy? The safeguards?
They are very clear on that. The data is only kept for 30 days. An officer has to enter a case number to even search the database, which creates an audit trail. And the whole system complies with state and federal law.
Okay, last topic. Shifting from tech to people. Employee benefits. The council approved the recommendations from the insurance committee.
And they pulled off something pretty impressive. They managed to save the city about $14,000 while actually improving benefits for employees.
How'd they do that?
The biggest jump was in vision coverage. They're staying with VSP, but the frame allowance went from a measly $65 up to $200. I mean, that's a real tangible improvement for anyone who wears glasses.
It's a huge difference. What about life and disability?
They partnered with a new provider, Oaks, and that resulted in a 0% cost increase for the basic plans. And it even lowered the premiums for short-term disability. In this insurance market, holding costs flat is a major win.
And a few final administrative notes. They're filling budgeted positions. A police record specialist is hired, and they're moving ahead on hiring an airport manager.
All signs of a city that's, functioning and moving forward. It was a really dense meeting.
So let's boil this all down for you. If you live in LaPorte, Deer Park, or Pasadena, what are the big takeaways? First, local businesses got a temporary win. There's a fee holiday for food trucks while the city drafts new zoning rules to protect brick-and-mortar restaurants.
Second, your police force is using some very advanced tech, these flock cameras, to solve major crimes and find missing people, and they have the data to prove it works.
And third, those big community investments are officially a go. The Sylvan Beach Pier renovation, new pickleball courts, and that crucial remodel for Fire Station 1.
And that brings us back to that central question. The state has taken away the city's power to create distance between businesses. So the city's only real tool left is zoning. And that leaves a provocative thought for you to consider.
What should that look like?
Exactly. What specific, non-discriminatory zoning rules should the 106 committee propose? Should they, for example, prohibit food trucks from the Main Street Historical District to protect that specific area? How do you balance food truck freedom with protecting local investment?
That is the conversation that's going to shape LaPorte's business landscape for the next few years. Engaging with that question is how you can think and act locally. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
If you found value here, please consider supporting us at thinkandactlocally.com/donate. And send us your thoughts on that zoning question or anything else to david@thinkandactlocally.com. We'll see you next time.